Welcome to the Locks and Dogs NFL Picks Podcast, Week 5 edition. We've got the NFL locks and a few dogs that you need to hear about, and the podcast starts right now. Hello, this is Matthew with Mark. Welcome to the Week 5 edition of the NFL Picks Podcast. Mark, this week definitely happened.
It did.
Honestly, I feel like this is the week that I got. This is the too cute week for me. What I mean by that is I feel like I should have played things safe, but I got a little too cute with some of the picks I was making, and it definitely came back to bite me. How did you feel? How did you fare?
Well, I am the new king of the late afternoon games. I'm happy to say.
Yes, I'm sad to see the crown go, but I can't imagine a better person to take up the mantle.
Thank you.
Do a quickie recap on what we had for last week. I was accurate on the Bucks. I was happy about that. I had them with the points and the money line sprinkle. Same with the Rams, Seahawks, and Titans. Points and money line sprinkle for all four, so I was profitable, but I only had I think out of 15 games I only had like 6 winners. It was kind of embarrassing. You were on fire, however. I'm counting 8 winners, so 8 winners, but they were all nice winners. You were on the Ravens, great win. I got way too cute on the 49ers and the Cowboys. You stayed the course, laid the points, and took the win. Yeah, man, we've had a lot of pushes this year, I feel.
Yeah, as predicted, we had the Broncos push against the Bears.
I was honestly, that's like the most unsatisfying result to the most unsatisfying game I've ever seen. That ended, the Broncos, but -3 ends in a push. Bears really tried to give that game away, and what do you know? They gave the game away. Other than that, yeah, Steelers, we were both way. Honestly, I hate to say it, I think I'm out on the Steelers.
Well, we'll see what Mitch Trubisky can do.
I'm not hopeful. Yeah, we were both off on the Lions. Mark, we just got to start respecting the Lions more, I think.
We did, get some response from the ones of listeners of this show.
The ones
in response to the Lions, and they're right. As far as I'm concerned, the Lions won the NFC North last Thursday against the Packers. Yeah, I'm afraid to see what they do against the Bears in the upcoming weeks. But the real heartbreaker was the Chiefs -9.5. Had there been more time on the clock, they obviously would have gone for an extra score and covered the spread. But that was the heartbreaker.
They let teams hang around, and they had a chance to put the Jets away early. They really didn't. They let them hang around that game, and it ended up. I think at one point in the fourth quarter was tied, was it not?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, the Zach Wilson Jets tying up the Pat Mahomes Chiefs,
and the Commanders, kept things pretty tight against the Eagles.
Yeah, go figure. So now that Commanders train, the Bears at that Commanders team that looks terrifying right now.
Yeah.
So, that was a wild game. I did catch the end of that one. That was like a wild ending. Sam Howell, man, comes to play. Okay. All right, awesome. All right, good stuff, Mark. All right, so that being said, week 4 definitely happened, but we've got a full slate of games for week 5. This is the first bye week, is it not?
Yes, it is. Yes.
But yeah, you ready to roll through the picks for week 5? Starting off with the hot Thursday night matchup. Bears at Commanders. Commanders -6.5. Over under at 44. 62% of the bets coming in on the commies -6. 56% of the bets coming into the over. It's actually gotten a little beefier. It opened at 42. It's up to 44. And money line 90% of the bets coming in on the Commanders. Is there any case to take the Bears on the road on a Thursday night game after that shabacle on Sunday?
Usually I take the home team on Thursday nights. The Commanders have played well. They're obviously a much better coached team than the Bears. The only option you could take into consideration here is fading the public when it comes to the Commanders and taking the Bears. But even then, I'm not entirely hopeful.
I feel like this line is kind of daring you to take the Bears. Like the +6.5 for a Thursday night game with two teams that I don't know that there's that great of a difference between in terms of actually if you actually look up and down the rosters. I feel like the Commanders probably do have the better roster, but it's not like I don't know if it's 6.5 points different. Either way, I'm laying the 6.5 and taking the Commanders. I can't. The Bears are 0-3-1 ATS, 0-4 straight up. I need to see them actually win a game before I can really kind of put any kind of confidence in them in terms of being able to cover a spread. And not only that, it seems like there's just like every week there's some kind of new nonsense distraction that's that they're just they refuse to deal with in a professional manner and just kind of lingers. And it seems to carry over into the preparation for the game. This week, it's the ongoing Chase Claypool saga. It seems like they want nothing to do with him. They want him gone. They've destroyed whatever value he has, and now it sounds like they're just going to have to cut ties with him as opposed to being able to trade him for anything.
Yeah, you can't in good conscience take the Bears. I'm going with the Commanders minus the 6.5.
So I do love the over in this one, though. However, believe it or not, the Bears have gone over in every single game. They're 4-0 to the over. Reason being is because they can't stop. They've given up at least 25 points in all 4 games they've played this year. Commies can score. They've got talent in that offense. I think they can move the ball against this Bears defense like everybody else can. I think the Bears can do enough to push it to the over. Give me the Commanders. Give me the over. I'd even be willing, if you could try to work out like a nice little parlay where you take the commies in the money line and then you say buy it down to maybe like 39 points for the over and try to get like a plus money parlay that way. That's one way I would look to play this play the Thursday night game is with Commanders money line and like a bought down under or bought down over, I should say. All right, rolling along. London game. Jaguars get to spend the week in London. Sadly, they don't get to face the Falcons again. They get the Bills this time rolling into town. Jaguars, I guess, are the road team here, although they've spent the week in London. Jaguars at Bills, technically. Line is at Bills minus 5.5, over at 48.5. Currently, the metrics for this one, 76% of the bets on the spread coming in for the Bills, 90% of the money line bets coming in for the Bills, 60% of the bets on the over. And in fact, the line has already shifted quite a bit in this one. It opened at Bills minus 3.5 and has now gone up to 5.5. And the over-under actually opened at 47.5, is up to 48. So we've seen a bit of movement on this one in favor of the over, in favor of the Bills for this one. What are you thinking here?
I'm going with the Bills minus 5.5. The Jaguars were able to handle the Falcons in London. Bills, they're completely on fire. I think Josh Allen threw for, what was it, 5 touchdowns last week?
I think that's what it was. It was something ridiculous like that.
The Bills minus 5.5 makes total sense here. Again, the Jaguars can put away a Falcons team on the road in London easily, but I think they're going to have a harder time with the Bills.
The only thing that gives me pause is that this is the Jaguars' second week in a row in London. They've been able to adjust the body clocks a little bit. I think they're playing in a different stadium this week. I think I know this week is at the Tottenham Stadium. I can't remember where last week was. I don't think it was in Tottenham, but either way, so they've been able to adjust the body clocks a little bit. They've played more in London than anyone else. And if I'm honest, like that defense is a little bit frisky. I don't know how frisky it's going to be against the Bills. The Bills seem to have that same issue that the Chiefs do, where they kind of get teams on the ropes, but they let good teams hang around. They freaking pulverize teams like the Commanders, but they tend to let other teams kind of hang around a little bit on them. I'm also going with the Bills. I can't trust Goldilocks to cover a spread 2 weeks in a row. I'll lay the 5.5. I probably would go with the over, and so I think it's spread is fair play. Both these teams are 2-2 on over under, so it sounds like it's a coin flip. I kind of like it to be over. I think there's gonna be some points scored here. Okay. First game on my list is Texans at Falcons. Falcons are somehow favored in this game. Falcons -2. Over under at 41. So far, 78% of the bets coming in on the Texans in the spread. This line has shifted already. It opened at Falcons -3.5. It's now -2.5. Over under 67% of the bets coming into the over, and on the money line, 80% of the bets coming in on the Texans. It's been a very pro Texans, pro over crowd. The early betting on Texans and Falcons. Can you make a case like which side are you coming in on? Do you think are you buying into the hype with the Texans, or can the Falcons defend their home?
After the first month of the season, we're starting to get an idea of who's legit and who's not. The Texans are starting to figure some things out.
Mm-hmm.
CJ Stroud could be legit. I'm going with the Texans +2. Yeah, I've been fading the Falcons, since the season started. I'm going with the Texans +2. I think the Texans are legit. CJ Stroud is, someone that we've probably been sleeping on for the first month of the season. I think they can handle the Falcons easily on the road.
Again, this one's kind of a coin flip game to me. I'm going to take the Falcons at home, and I'm going to lay the 2 points. They're a lot more comfortable at home than they are on the road. That's been obvious. I think that the style that they play is more conducive to winning in a home environment than it does to travel. And I think they've kind of run into a couple of decent teams these past few weeks where, that's I think the Texans are better than last year, but I don't think they're that much improved. Also, they keep losing offensive linemen. They had another lineman going on the IR he's out for the season. They lost another interior lineman this week. So I think at a certain point they're just going to struggle to block and be able to block anything if they keep losing guys. And I kind of feel like this Falcons team is good enough up front where they can, like your your third or fourth or fifth guard or sixth guard, that they should be able to figure out how to handle that on the defensive side. And on the offensive side, they're going to ground and pound it. They're going to do their thing where they just kind of suck up the clock and hopefully are able to move the ball well enough to score points. I'm on the Falcons. I don't love it. I'm going to bet it. I'll lay the 2 at home and just kind of be done with it. But I'm not going to go in heavy on this. This is going to be like like a light play if I choose to play it. I don't know. Next up, we've got Ravens at Steelers. Ravens are 4-point favorites on the road. Over under 38.5. Numbers for this one: 76% of the bets coming in on for the spread coming in on the Steelers. 91% of the money line bets coming in on the Ravens. 90% of the bets coming in on the under. We've seen a pretty dramatic shift in the point total for this one. It's gone from 41.5 down to 38.5 is I think what we had it at. It opened at 41.5, so we've already seen a 3-point swing. It's pretty major for early in the week. So it looks like the books kind of second guess themselves on that one a little bit. Honestly, for this one, I don't see a case for the Steelers. Their quarterback play has been so bad this year that it's kind of hamstrung them a fair bit. They can't move the ball in offense. They haven't gotten it going on the ground. Najee Harris does not look great this year. They look like the faith in using Jalen more and more, and they kind of stayed away from using him until like the fourth quarter, of last week's game. I do kind of like that this is on at home for the Steelers, but I don't trust any of their quarterback. A limited Kenny Pickett, if he's going to try to start with a banged up knee. I haven't seen a fully healthy Kenny Pickett really be all that good this year, and I don't have a whole lot of faith in Mitch Trubisky as the backup to really try to right the ship. I don't think they can really move the ball, and I think the Ravens can do enough, defensively, to keep the Steelers' offense in check, and I think they can do enough offensively to move the ball against a pretty good Steelers defense. I think they cover the 4. I don't love it, but yeah, I'm on the Ravens just because I don't see a case for the Steelers winning this game outside of them at home. They've looked so rough these first 4 weeks that it's just hard for me to trust. Where are you at for this one, Mark?
Yeah, I'm going with the Ravens -4. They beat up the Browns pretty good last week without Deshaun Watson. It's the best the Ravens have looked all season. Last week for the Steelers was really the worst that they've looked all season.
They didn't look. Week 1, they looked bad too. That was also at home. They got embarrassed at home in week 1. They got embarrassed on the road in week 4. I guess we'll see if they bounce back in week 5, but I don't think they bounce.
The Mitch Trubisky Steelers could give them a spark, but I'm kind of doubtful on that. If you wanted to get really sneaky, you can make the Steelers a dog on that, but I think the smart play is going with the Ravens.
All right, next on the list: Saints at Patriots, non-conference road spot for the Saints. Current line on this one is Patriots -1.5, over under 40.5. So far, the numbers on this one, we've seen 64% of the bets in the spread coming in on the Saints. We've actually seen the spread tighten up a little bit. Opened at 2.5 down to 1.5, and we've seen 88% of the bets coming in on the under. Honestly, it's probably the smart money. It hasn't moved yet, so there's still time to jump on that 40.5 if you still want to get it. As far as the money line, 54% of the bets in the money line coming in on the Patriots. Okay, this is a weird game. I don't feel, again, this non-conference road spot for the Saints. I don't think this matchup has really happened all that often, even in our lifetimes. What are you thinking for this once in a blue moon weirdo matchup we've got here with these two teams?
Well, I locked up the Saints last week, and at that point, I was assuming that it would be the Jameis Winston Saints, and I still think the Jameis Winston Saints were probably a better option than the beat up Derek Carr Saints. But I am going with the Patriots -1.5. The Patriots got embarrassed last weekend against the Cowboys, and I think this is a home game for Belichick to get things right against a Saints team that doesn't look quite right offensively.
No, they've been pretty rough offensively, and honestly, the defense hasn't shown out quite as much as I would expect it to. Believe it. I feel like teams move the ball a bit easier than they should against that Saints defense. I like the Patriots at home. I think that stadium does give them a bit of a home field advantage. That crowd definitely gives them a home field advantage. It's the Saints on the road, which we've kind of learned not to trust quite as much as we should. So that's kind of where my brain's at. I think the Patriots, probably win it by a field goal, which is why I'm fine to lay the 1.5. That's where my head's at too. I just think better coach. I don't know. I think the rosters are pretty interchangeable. I don't think if you line them up, 53-man roster against 53-man roster is not that great of a difference. But I do think the home field advantage. Also, the Pats are 1-3 against the spread this year. The Saints 0-3-1 against the spread this year. So we've got a pair of teams that really don't cover all that often. When that happens, I tend to, I tend to take the favorite as opposed to the dog, and I don't, with the 1.5, I really don't mind it. Moving along, next up, Panthers at Lions. Lions -9, over under 44.5. So far, 84% of the bets coming in on the spread are coming in for the Lions minus the 9. Total so far, 71% of the bets coming in on the over, and on the money line, 96% of the bets coming in on the Lions. Mark, what do you again? This is another weird one. We don't see the Panthers. You don't see the Panthers head to Detroit all that often. So what are you thinking here?
I got the Lions -9.
Really?
After the first month of the 2023 season, the Lions potentially look like they could be legitimately good. Now, if Aiden Hutchinson has a season-ending injury, that could change things dramatically.
Fair.
I think this Lions team could put away the Panthers easily.
Okay, my thought is that we've had the Lions have had the extra few days off after probably the biggest win that they've had in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Beating the Packers in Lambeau, that doesn't happen that often. I mean,
No.
granted, it's not the Aaron Rodgers Packers, it's the Jordan Love Packers. So this is probably they're coming off the biggest win that they've had. So I kind of feel this is an opportunity for a letdown spot for them. So I kind of feel like with the extra time off, I think that kind of increases the odds of them coming out a bit flat against a Panthers team that's not terrible. We've kind of seen them be a bit frisky with some of these teams that should be able to take care of them. And then we've been it says here they're 0-3. I got them 0-3-1 against the spread. I know I've had them cover at least once. I want to say that Saints game. I think we're thinking they were like 6-point dogs. I think they like 6.5. I think they covered it by the hook. If this one's coming in at 9.5, I kind of like that better for the Panthers than I do. That's a really big number to cover, especially if I feel like the Lions are going to come out a bit flat in this one. Give me the Panthers plus the how big was it? We say 9.5 or 9? It's 9. Give me the Panthers plus the 9. I don't think they're that bad, and I think they can. They're capable of moving the ball, and I think that defense is a little bit frisky too. I kind of like as far as I feel like they're the bad team that's capable of beating other bad teams. I don't think they're capable of beating the Lions, but I think they're capable of covering 9 points. So that's where my head's at for this one. This is me trying not to. I feel like this is the closest I'm getting to a cute play is this one, but I feel like this is a letdown spot for the Lions. I feel like that 9 is a big number for the Lions to cover. If it was coming at say like 7.5, but like it opened at 7.5, if it was still there, I'd feel a lot more comfortable taking the Lions than I do with them at 9 or not even 9.5 if the spread gets that high. All right, moving along. Giants at Dolphins. Dolphins -11, over under 49. Let me get the numbers on the yearly betting on this one. So far, okay. This one, 93% of the bets in the spread are coming in on the Dolphins, and we've actually seen this line move from an opening at 9.5 all the way to 11 at current. That's a lot. Point total, 83% of the bets coming into the over. That has not moved at all. And the money line, 98% of the bets coming into the Dolphins. Mark, is there any case you can make for taking the Giants here?
Yeah, the Giants have really taken. That last year they went to the playoffs with Brian Daboll, the new head coach. But
it looks slow.
It should be worth mentioning that they were without Saquon last week on Monday night.
Yeah, last 2 weeks. Yeah, I think almost they had him in week 1. I don't think they've had him since then.
But I've never been a fan of Danny Dimes. I don't understand it. And they just gave him a huge contract, but he looks lost out there. They're kind of falling apart. I'm going with the Dolphins -11. With any other team, I think the 11 points would be a bit too much. But with the Dolphins, I think the 11 points will probably work.
Okay. I'm also on the Dolphins, and reason being is we've seen a fair bit of this Giants team on national broadcasts and some of the late afternoon broadcasts. They look slow, okay, and also they don't seem to block very well. They've had some real challenges, especially on the interior that offensive line as far as blocking goes. And that's you rush them up the middle, Danny Dimes panics, and then he's throwing interceptions, and I kind of feel like that's like the formula to beating them is that they every team has kind of figured out that they can't block anything up the middle. That's one. Two, I don't think that they have the team speed to keep up with this Dolphins team at all. I think the Dolphins are going to literally run them out of the stadium. It's a road spot. That home crowd is going to be lit because you've been watching the Dolphins like fly out, throw the ball all over the place the past 2 weeks. So it should be a lit environment against an opponent that has struggled. Like they did not look good against the Cardinals. They looked awful against the 49ers. They looked really bad this past week. Yeah, I'm out on this. I'm out on the Giants. I'm out on the Steelers, I think. But if I'm honest with the Giants, it starts up front with them. It doesn't. I don't think Danny Dimes can save them, but I don't think he's the cause. I think the cause is their inability to to block anywhere. They call plays that they can't block. They have no hope of blocking. So I think that's more the root of the issue. If they could block, I think I believe in this team a bit more, but they can't. But that's where I'm at. I just see the Dolphins running all over that team, and the Dolphins just don't have the speed or the or the ability to block to really keep up with it. Yeah, watch out for it's going to be an air. Watch out for air raid sirens in Miami for this one. So sliding along, next on the list, Titans at Colts. Colts -1, home favorite for the Colts. Okay. Over under 42.5. The numbers on this one to start. Okay, this is a real coin flip. 51% of the bets in the spread coming in on the Colts. Total, again, coin flip. 51% of the bets coming in the over. Money line, 55% of the bets coming in on the Titans. Okay, you know where I'm at with this one. As soon as I saw the Titans were a dog again, I've got to jump all over it. We don't like them as a favorite. We love them as a dog. Give me the Titans plus the one. Money line, yes. Again, it's a veteran team that just knows how to get wins. They know how to kind of grind teams out. I know they're 2-2. Again, if you just line up the rosters, 53 man versus 53 man, I think the Titans just have the better team. Man for man. I think that I know that nobody loves the quarterback situation. I feel like that defense can bail them out, and I feel like they can do enough on the ground to make it so it doesn't matter. So give me the Titans to win a close one, but give me the Titans either way. What say you, Mark?
Well, I'm going with the Colts -1. They've lost in overtime in the past 2 weeks.
Yep.
Jonathan Taylor is practicing this week. Whether or not he starts, I don't know. I think if he plays this week, I think that gives him a pretty big advantage because I think AR-15 could really use a quality running back. The Colts have been able to stick with it for the past 2 weeks. I think they get over the hump against a Titans team, which I think is just so. Again, the Tannehill situation. I don't think that Tannehill is really performing up to expectations.
No.
I think the Colts should be able to gut it out.
Again, me being completely, I kind of feel like that they're taking the Colts there that feels like a too cute pick to me. It's your pick, not mine. So, but either way, that one comes across to me as too cute. Then you could probably say the same for my Panthers pick, plus the 9. I kind of feel like those are borderline cutesy for us. I don't. But either way, I'm a Titans guy. I'm still in on this Titans team. Especially, I don't think that the Colts are really that good. I feel like that roster is still like a year or two away from being like a real capable of beating good. That actually does it for the early slate. It's a light noon slate for this week, which I don't like. I've gotten used to the heavier slates, and it's been a lot more fun to have the to kind of start off heavy and then kind of ease into the evening. So late afternoon games. First on the list, Bengals at Cardinals. Cardinals +3, over under 44.5. I love this as for the Cardinals. You've got the Bengals are a team on an Eastern time zone going to the West Coast late afternoon. That I don't like. I don't like the Bengals as a road favorite. The Bengals team is just a mess. They're off to their typical slow start, but I feel like it's more than that. They're starting to Joe Burrow is clearly playing on one leg or severely limited on 2. T. Higgins probably is going to miss this game. He's claiming that he's not. I don't believe it for a second. I think if you've got a rib fracture, you're out for at least a week. So I think that a limited Joe Burrow minus one of his key weapons isn't great. Again, especially against this Cardinals defense, it's kind of been showing out this year. They can do enough on offense to keep it interesting. Josh Dobbs, he manages games, kind of ground and pound it a little bit. He makes throws he can make. They don't ask him to do too much, and they're just a really good example of a team kind of playing within itself. I've watched this Cardinals team the past few weeks. I kind of like the way they play. It's not a pretty version of football, but they seem to be effective at it. Give me the Cardinals plus the 3. Sprinkle that money line plus 140. Hell yeah! What say you?
Yeah, I'm going with the Cardinals plus 3. I'm getting on the Cardinals train this week. We'll see how.
Oh yeah,
we'll see how
it's still available, broski.
We'll see how it looks like next week. But yeah, you're right. The Bengals look look beat up. We don't really know what's going on with Joe Burrow. Yeah, they just haven't performed up to expectations so far this year. But the Cardinals, have a certain, they've been able to hang with, pretty much every team that they've played. And yeah, I think it's more me fading the Bengals than anything else.
Stuff on the sheet, we've got Eagles at Rams. Again, another East Coast to West Coast. Don't love that. Certainly at Eagles -4, over under 50.5. So far as the metric on this one, 70% of the spread bets coming in on the Eagles, 92% of the bets coming in on the over-under bets coming in on the over, and 79% of the bets coming in on the Eagles for the money line. Is there any case to take the Rams here?
I think the East Coast to West Coast to the Eagles, could be a good consideration. The Rams have played well so far this year. They, I was expecting them to come out pretty soft this year, but they've played pretty well despite not having Cooper Kupp. You could make a case for the Rams as a home dog this week. I don't think that would be completely outside of the realm of possibility.
Agree.
But the Eagles have just been playing too well. I'm going with the Eagles -4. They just seem like more of a complete team, and they almost seem unstoppable at this point.
The match that worries me the most for the Rams is the Rams offensive line versus that Eagles front four. I mean, they have just so many effective pieces, and they can just kind of cycle through, cycle them out as they need to get them rest, bring them in for key situations as they need to. That they've just got so many pieces up front that they just they just kind of wear down off the offensive lines. By the fourth quarter, their key guys are still kind of fresh, whereas the offensive line they've been grinding it out against are kind of gas. So that's the one matchup that really gives me pause here. I think that really favors the Eagles. And also, I hate to say, again, it's a Los Angeles crowd, so it shouldn't be, the home road thing for LA really isn't that big of a deal. Rams, I don't know that they're necessarily our Rams fans in Los Angeles these days. Either way, I can't really make a case for the Rams to cover. This number did open it at Philadelphia -6. It's come down to 4. If it was still at 6, I would probably take the Rams, but the fact that it's 4, that really gives me pause. That really makes me want to take the Eagles on the road. I think if it was even 5, I'd even consider the Rams. Just the fact that it's moved all the way to 4 just really makes me, I'm a lot more interested in the Eagles and the Rams in this one.
Yeah, I agree.
Give me the Eagles -4. I'm invested. See how it goes. Chiefs at Vikings. Chiefs -5. Over under at 53. So far, 72% of the bets coming in on the Chiefs. 89% of the bets coming in on the over, 91% of the money line bets coming in on the Chiefs. So Mark, what are you thinking here for the Chiefs at Vikings? Again, it's Vikings at home. Is there any chance the Vikings are a live dog here? Do you think, or no?
The dogs are barking.
Are they?
They're barking. I'm going with the Vikings +5. The Chiefs, they lost the Lions in week 1. The Jets were very competitive against the Chiefs.
More competitive than you would think. Yes.
Yes, on Sunday night. The Vikings, on the other hand, they looked terrible for most of that Panthers game last week, and then somehow pulled things together. Well, partly because of Bryce Young giving up a scoop and score. But the Vikings I think are talent-wise are a bit better than what the record says they are. The Chiefs.
I think it's a case of the Chiefs. Not necessarily, they're playing for January. They're not playing for September. That's kind of how I see it. I don't think they want to do too much or show too much early in the season. I think it's a Milton Berle story. They don't want to show everything all up front. Is the sense that I get with them. That being said, I'm out on the Vikings. I don't trust them at all. I think they're going to find a way to Vikings this one. That's a lot of 5 points for them is a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
I think they can score with the Chiefs, but I do think they're just going to Vikings it away. Give me the Chiefs. I'll lay the 5 just because I think the Vikings are going to Vikings. We've seen them find ways to lose games, and I just feel like I don't know if it's coaching or I don't know if it's personnel, but I feel like that's who that team is. That they're gonna, if given a choice between finding a way to win or finding a way to lose, they're going to find a way to lose. It's just we've seen them just underperform. At least the game. The Panthers were winning. Were winning that game from. I think they were up. I think that they were up by 2 scores at the half, or 1 or 2 scores at the half. I can't remember which. But either way, they were winning that game at the half, if I remember correctly. And the Vikings just, they just kind of came up flat in the second half. The Vikings did bad. Fine, all right. The Vikings got their win against a bad team. No worries. But the previous 3 weeks, we've seen them essentially give games. They go out of their way to try to lose games. That's just where I'm at with this team, and I think the Chiefs are good enough to take advantage of that. Like I feel like the Chiefs will capitalize on the opportunities they get. whereas the Vikings will not. Jets at Broncos. Broncos somehow a 2-point favorite here. Over under at 43. The early betting, 82% of the bets on this one are coming in on the Jets for the spread. 69% of the bets to the over, and 80% of the money line is coming in on the Jets. Mark, is there any case for the Broncos at home?
I don't think so. Their defense looked terrible against the Bears. They're letting Cole Kmet run wild last week. I'm going with the Jets.
You didn't know what they were doing.
No.
I've never seen a tight end as open as Cole Kmet like that. Like it was every play, like he was just like running free, and nobody was anywhere near him.
Yeah.
A lot of blown assignments in that secondary. And it sounds like that's like a continuation of what happened the previous week.
Yeah, I mean, clearly Matt Eberflus won that game for the Broncos.
Wow.
And on the other side of that, Zach Wilson, started to look somewhat competent against the Chiefs.
He did.
Up until he lost that fumble. Again, I think it just comes down to coaching and talent. I think the Jets are, too talented of a team to lose, every game from here on out simply because of Zach Wilson. On the other hand, I think the Broncos really are, particularly the defense really is as bad as everyone says it is. So yeah, give me the Jets +2.
Okay. I'm exact same line of thinking. I think that Broncos defense might be the worst in the league. They made Justin Fields look like a freaking all-star, and he had not. That was last week was probably the best game Justin Fields has ever played as a professional up until the final interception.
Yeah.
It was his first 300-yard passing game. He looked again. It reminded me of preseason Justin Fields when he looked calm and knew where to put the ball. So he wasn't second guessing. He was stepping into throws. He was going making throws downfield, as opposed to they were calling plays downfield as opposed to calling the endless string of screen passes. Either way, I think that Broncos defense is one of the worst in the league, if not the worst. I think even the Jets can move the ball against them, and honestly, that Jets defense, I can't see this Denver team being able to do much against that defense. So yeah, I think the wrong team favored. Bang that money if you can still get plus odds in the Jets and that money line. Do it. Bang the Jets there. This is I really don't know what this is called. This is Vegas daring you to take the Broncos, take the Jets, lock it up. Let's go. Okay. Brings us to Sunday Night Football. Okay. Cowboys at 49ers, 49ers -3.5, over under at 45. The early numbers for this, 85% of the spread bets coming in on the 49ers, 72% of the bets coming in the under, 85% of the money line bets coming in on the 49ers. So yeah, early betting really favors the 49ers here. Where are you at, Mark?
I'm looking at the 49ers -3.5. The Cowboys, particularly their defense, looked amazing against the Mac Jones Patriots last week. The 49ers, we could wind up seeing these two face off. There could be an NFC Championship game between these two teams because I don't think there are many good teams in the NFC this year.
Yeah.
I think the 49ers are probably the more complete team. They're going to make fewer mistakes for sure, and I think that gives them the edge.
All right. Honestly, that 49ers defense is terrifying. I think Dak Prescott's going to be seeing ghosts. I love the fact that this is in San Francisco. I think that again another box in favor of the 49ers. And we've kind of seen the Cowboys struggle with some of they struggled against the Cardinals offense, and I think this 49ers offense is a better version of that, where they have better skill position players. I don't know that Brock Purdy is all that much better than Josh Dobbs, honestly. But again, he does what they ask him to do. He makes the throws they ask him to make, and then he has Christian McCaffrey, to hand off to. I kind of see this as a repeat of that game. I think this is the right team favored. I love this spot for the 49ers. I think they roll. I think the Cowboys are, they're 3-1, but they're kind of fraudulent. I feel. Give me the 49ers, lock it up. I think their 3.5 is way too small for this, for that number. I've been hearing some early chatter out of Dallas that the Cowboys are getting up for this game. The same, all road, the road to the Super Bowl goes through San Francisco. They're right, it probably does. So, but I don't trust this Cowboys team. I don't think they're that good. I think they're awesome against a mediocre Giants team. They struggled with a mediocre Cardinals team, and then we've kind of seen them, these past 2 weeks, rack up wins and win games that should be winning. So yeah, the 49ers I think are the best team in the conference right now. I have yet to see anybody playing as. My only concern with the 49ers is that they might peak too early this season. Where I think if they're playing their best football in September, what does that mean for December? Are they going to be able to maintain that level for a full season? I don't know. For right now, they're the class of the league, they're the best team in the league. Give me the 49ers -3.5. And honestly, I'm probably going to lock it up this week. So Monday Night Football, Packers at Raiders. Line on this one, Packers minus 2.5, over under 44.5. The early betting on this one so far is a coin flip on the spread. 51% of the bets actually coming in on the Raiders, 79% of the bets coming into the over, and 92% of the money line bets coming in on the Packers. I guess bettors really like that early plus money on the Packers. This is a Midwest to West Coast, Midwest to West Coast game. This is a tough one, honestly.
It really comes down to who starts the Raiders. If it's the Jimmy Garoppolo Raiders, you could make a case for the Raiders. But if it's Aiden O'Connell Raiders,
at first, I think Jimmy G probably starts. I think, unless he has it's a really bad concussion, I think he gets over it by Monday night. I think he gets cleared by Monday night. So let's, I think we should just assume it's going to be Jimmy G. If I'm honest, it really doesn't move the needle all that much for me. I don't really think Jimmy G makes them necessarily that much better. I don't think Aiden O'Connell makes them necessarily that much worse. I kind of like the Packers to bounce back. I think they had a disappointing effort against a team that clearly came out to play on Thursday night against with the Lions. I don't think you're going to see that same effort coming out of the Las Vegas Raiders, especially, they finally ended the Chandler Jones saga. It's going to be another week of answering questions about what's going on there. It's going to be a distraction, I feel. I feel like if you just line up two rosters, like next to each other, 53 to 53, the Packers are just a better team. I honestly believe that. I mean, I guess there's some case you could make for a Devontae Adams revenge game, but I kind of feel like if since Aaron Rodgers has left the team, it's kind of like lost its luster a little bit. It's like not quite as revengey as it was when Rodgers still there. Give me the Packers. I'll lay the 2.5. This is me trying not to be too cute. I'm just betting on the better team.
Yeah, I'm going with the Packers minus 2.5 also. Yeah, we haven't gotten word on whether or not Jimmy G is playing yet, but
I'm assuming he is. I'm willing to make that call that I think he's going to be out of concussion protocol by then.
I mean, I don't feel great about it. I Jordan Love, outside of beating the Bears, has looked spotty in certain spots.
Yeah. So he had a great comeback win against the Saints at home. So I've seen this Raiders team just be a bit too mediocre. I kind of like them as a team that everybody kind of forgot about this year. But after watching them play, they just, Devontae Adams gets his, but what else is there really on that offense? Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams are going to get theirs, but outside of that, in that offense, there really isn't a lot going on. I don't feel. Give me the Packers. I'm not going to lock it up. I'm going to bet it. Yeah, that's where I'm at as far as this goes. All right, good stuff. All right, it's time for where we pick our locks and our dogs. I've already made my lock pick. 49ers minus 3.5. Lock it up. I think that's the exact spot you want them in. At home. Against. Could you call the Cowboys a rival? I guess you could. They certainly face each other. I mean, granted, this is 25 years ago, but they faced each other in the playoffs often enough that it was considered a rivalry at one point. But either way, I'm on the 49ers. That's my lock. Who are you locking up this week, Mark?
It pains me to do it, but I think we have to lock up the Commanders minus 6.5.
Wow.
On Thursday night.
All right. As far as dogs go, I think the Jets are the obvious dog pick. But it's a small dog. So at +2. Cardinals also I would. How about a little Cardinals Jets parlay? How would you feel about that on the money line?
That'd be good.
I mean, that'd probably get you to plus. Probably get you 4-1 odds. Titans again, another small dog +1. Panthers at +9. That's a legit dog. I guess if I had to pick my favorite dog for the week is by far the Jets. But you could talk me into a Jets Cardinals money line parlay that I would absolutely. Where are you at for your dog this week?
See, I'm not quite confident enough to go with the Vikings as my dog for the week. So I'm gonna play things a bit safe and go with the Jets +2.
You don't want to take your Texans?
Yeah, you could do the Texans too. Yeah, either one. I think the Jets are the safer dog pick of the week.
I think Vegas is the wrong team favorite for that one. I really do. So, this has been the Locks and Dogs podcast for week 5 of the NFL season. Check out locksanddogs.com for the latest gambling picks and news. Hit that subscribe button to get notifications on the latest episode, and please leave us a review. Mark loves the 5 stars. I just want to hear from you. Tell us you suck. Tell us we're disrespecting your team. Tell us whatever you want. Keep in mind we bet with our wallets and cheer with our heart. For Locks and Dogs, this is Matt.
This is Mark.
And we'll see you next week.